guys, so I'd first like to start off by giving a trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about some graphic and gruesome information, so if you'd prefer not to listen, you can click off of my video now. Have you had a stranger stop you on the side of the street and ask for help? Did you get a gut feeling that just something isn't right? Well, in these instances, you need to trust your gut, because what if that person was a murderer? The murderer I'm going to be talking about today is Ted Bundy. In the 70s, Bundy and his killings ran rampant, scaring many children, women, and parents, especially with his killings popping up over many different states. These states including California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, and Florida. With this being said, Bundy was a danger to many. I'm a credible speaker because I've done my research, I've cross-checked my sources, I have dates, and I use credible websites. Today I'm going to be talking about Ted Bundy's killings, his victims, and the end of his murderous career. My first main point is Ted Bundy's killings. When it came to Ted Bundy picking out his victims, he picked women similar in appearance. According to the article, Serial Killer Ted Bundy Strikes Again, published by History.com in 2009, nearly all of his victims had long, dark hair parted down the middle. Bundy normally attacked college-age girls, however, he would attack young, older, and even younger as well. When it came to Bundy luring and killing these women, he played a consistent role. He would pretend to be injured, wearing a cast, a sling, or even walking on crutches. He knew these women would have the heart to help the poor, handsome, injured man. He would then lure them to his car, beat them with a crowbar or a pipe, tie them up, and throw them in the back of his Volkswagen, which had the passenger seat removed so the victim was unnoticed by the public. When it came to Bundy assaulting these victims, he would strangle and beat them and then sexually assault them. Sometimes, if the victim was unconscious during the assault, he would wake up the victim, and continue the assault while she was conscious. He would then take the dead corpse to a secluded area and continue the assault, and sometimes he even took the corpse home. When taking the corpse home, Bundy would sleep with it and continue to assault it for days until decomposition either made that no longer possible or no longer bearable. He sometimes even decapitated his victims and put their head on display at his apartment. Now that I've talked about his killings, I will now move on to his victims. My second main point is Bundy's victims. Bundy confessed to 30 victims, however, more are believed to have been killed by Bundy. My first victim I'm going to be talking about today is Donna Manson. She was last seen on her way to a jazz concert on March 12, 1974, and never seen by her friends or family again. The 19-year-old was a freshman at Evergreen State College. When Bundy confessed to the murder, he claimed that he set Manson's school on fire in his girlfriend's fireplace. When it came to finding the remains of Bundy's victims, there was one place in particular. This place was Taylor Mountain. 7 bodies were found there over a time span of a year. 3 more of Bundy's victims actually turned out to be survivors: Kathy Kleiner, Karen Chandler, and Cheryl Thomas. On the morning of January 15, 1978, Bundy broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University, where Karen and Kathy were roommates. After having murdered 2 of their sorority sisters, he moved down to the hall to Kathy and Karen's room and beat and assaulted them as well. When one of their sorority sisters showed up in the driveway with bright headlights, Bundy took this as a sign to run, and he ran down the street to Cheryl's residence. He then beat Cheryl. All 3 girls had grave injuries, however, they all 3 survived. Now that I've talked about his victims, I'm going to talk about the end of Bundy's murderous career. My third main point is the end of Bundy's murderous career. You're probably sitting here thinking, how did this man not get caught after all of these years of murders? He did, however, he all seemed to escape. For example, in 1977, he was being held at a jail in Aspen, Colorado to stand trial for the murder of Karen Campbell. This being said, he was allowed to do research, so he was allowed to use the local law library located on the 2nd floor of the courthouse. The deputies decided to unshackle him and instead lock him in the library. Bundy took this as an opportunity to run and jump from the second story window into freedom. According to the article, Timeline of Many of Bundy's Brutal Crimes, posted by abcnews.go.com in 2019, Bundy claimed, "Honest to God, I was just sick and tired of being locked up." I'm now going to show you a video by CNN of Bundy's confessions.
A briefcase and some crutches, and a young woman walked down. I saw her round the north end of the block into the alley and asked her to help me carry the briefcase. We reached the car. I knocked her unconscious with the crowbar and handcuffed her and drove away. You alert her, dude? Oh, no, she
As you can tell, Bundy is very detached and heartless when it comes to talking about his victims. Here are a few more confessions I found that Bundy stated. The first one being, I just liked to kill. I wanted to kill. The second one being, I think society deserves to be protected from me and others like me. And the last one being, well-meaning, decent people will condemn the behavior of a Ted Bundy while they're walking past a magazine rack full of the very kinds of things that send young kids down the road to be Ted Bundys. Bundy stated this on the day of his sentencing to psychologist James Dobson. He was basically saying that his violent and sexual tendencies blossomed from porn at a young age. Finally, on the day of January 24th, 1989, after 4 years of consecutive murders, Bundy was bound to the electric chair at Florida State Prison and pronounced dead at 7:16 a.m. Today, I've told you about Bundy's killings, Bundy's victims, and the end of Bundy's murderous career. Remember, ladies, the hot guy asking for just a little bit of help may actually have 30 murders on his hands, and you don't deserve to be one of them.